And at the end of the day, as you know, your business is just an extension of you. The clientele that, the money that you make, the clientele that you attract, the type of business that you do, the way that it performs, etc. That's all on you. And if you're not, in terms of your health and fitness and life, going well, neither is your business.
We have joining with us today your 24/7 hype girl. She is a mindset coach and the founder of Health Hyped, which I'm going to quote her verbatim because I love this mission statement so much. A community on a mission to create coaching experience for any woman to grow into her most confident, vibrant, and happy self. That just lights me up inside. But the real reason, right? So the real reason why I have invited her here today is because every time I see her content, every time I see her in her community, her entire ethos, her entire aura is just fully centered in on how can I improve the life of the people around me? How can I provide value to my surroundings right now? So I want to do a really warm welcome to Chloe Bromage. Welcome to Before the Money.
Thank you. That is the best intro I've literally ever gotten in my life. Thank you.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it. Thank you so much for coming in. Absolutely. You brought your energy too, which I love.
Always.
So let's kick it straight off. We've done the housekeeping, safe to be vulnerable, safe to swear, all that kind of good stuff. I want to know what fires you up.
Helping women, full stop. It started very small with when I first started in the fitness industry, it was just about helping women create a happier lifestyle for themselves. That was it, healthier lifestyle. But it's certainly evolved over the past few years into helping women unlock their true confidence, because when you see people believe in themselves, that their life ultimately changes completely, because they open the door to so much more abundance. And that to me, that's what make my chest almost hurts. I love that. So that's what lights me up.
And did that come through your own personal experience, needing that within your life, or did you fall into that through, your own endeavors in a sense, finding health, finding fitness, finding your mindset, and then realizing you could pass that knowledge on?
It was a bit of both.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful. I'm the eldest of 6 kids, and my mum has been what I said. My mum is my hype girl. Everyone else who's the hype girl, it's my mum. And really grateful. I have always been very energetic, very vivacious. And even as a little kid, my mum always was just you do you, kid. You do whatever you want. Here's the space to be you, create your life, whatever. So I had that, but then growing, and I moved away quite young. I was just 18, moved away from home. And then I fell into a little bit more of eating disorders, like a lot of females do, either during high school or after high school. And so the gym became my savior. And through kind of that hardship, I was actually able to kind of turn my perspective on health and fitness into a positive way and realize how much it helped me. And then I was I want to help other girls do this too, because I know so many girls who have struggled in, whether it's with their nutrition and with eating disorders or their body image or in the gym or whatever. That's kind of what, set that on fire and then continued the ball rolling. Yeah.
That's nice. And in your opinion, obviously it's extremely hard to put a blanket on this topic, but why do you think that there is so much, eating disorders and body dysmorphia and all that kind of stuff in society at the moment, in both women and in men?
I'm pretty sure statistically it is 50-50 men and women, but it's just, unfortunately, as we know, men don't talk about a lot of things. So we're definitely not going to talk about an eating disorder because quote unquote men's don't have them, right? It definitely is down to marketing, full stop. I read something once, and don't quote me because I don't know exactly, but it was 70-something% of cartoon characters, female cartoon characters, if they were blown up to life size, they would be underweight. So it's what we've witnessed from very little people, whether, and then it's men, they're always big and strong and muscly. Unfortunately, some men aren't genetically built that way, right? So it's what we have seen from the very beginning. And as much as there's parts of the fitness industry that I love, there's also a lot of parts that I don't love because it thrives off unrealistic expectations of both men and women, which is so sad.
100%. That ties into something I really wanted to touch on, and I'm glad we're getting into it early in the episode. What are some advice you see within that industry that either you just flat out don't agree with or you think is misleading in the way that it's put across?
For women, it's using the word toned. I really don't appreciate, because being toned is not a thing, right? But it's more just that for men and women in general, I think it's being lean overall. Because for majority of people to have a lean physique in general it takes a lot of work, and for majority of people it's a full-time job. Like my partner, he's a bodybuilder, right? So that's part of his life, is to look amazing and be lean. For majority of people that have kids, have a 9 to 5, sit on their ass, you're not going to be able to achieve that. So I think overall, just having unrealistic expectations of what you can achieve in a really small amount of time, like, I just don't understand. That riles me up too.
I know, and it's crazy as well. Like, we're looking at like models who, you know, look gorgeous all the time. It's like, yeah, it's their job to look gorgeous all the time. Or you look at pro athletes that, like, even just like a skateboarder, for instance, someone who is incredible at skateboarding, and it's like, yeah, it's their job to be a skateboarder.
Absolutely.
And it's like that little hurdle in the beginning where you're trying to like juggle so many things. Like, we were in brief conversation before we started about this podcast for me. And like, I look at like kingpin podcasters in the game, and I'm like, wow, that's fucking incredible what they do. And I try and model it, and I just burn myself into the ground.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, this isn't paying the bills.
No.
You know?
No.
But I'm trying to make it as if it's like my full-time gig.
Absolutely.
And like reach that level as well. And it does my head in, because I love doing shit well.
Yeah.
But at the same time as well, you got to be realistic about, right, how can I maximize the most in like proportion to what I can actually give it, you know?
Absolutely. And I think that, like you said, it applies to any area of your life, whether it's work-life balance, whether it's a relationship, whether it's health and fitness, nutrition, whatever. It's like, absolutely, it's all good and well to idealize people, and like you say, those top dog podcasters or, you know, your fitness influencers that you follow, whatever. But yeah, exactly right. Their life is to look like the front cover of a magazine 24/7. Nobody else's life is like that.
Yeah.
And social media has kind of brought all those people together to look like there's more of them. But if social media wasn't a thing, I think about all the people I know in my life, there's very few people I know that actually look like the front cover of a magazine, right? But because consistently through your social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, all you see is these freaking good looking people, you're like, oh shit, that's what I'm supposed to look like. Yeah. It's like, I like donuts, so I'm not going to look like that, but you know.
And it's the same like on the negative end of the spectrum as well. It's like, if you're caught in that echo chamber of receiving negativity on social media, you can look out into the world virtually and think everything is falling to pieces.
Absolutely.
But, you know, when you go outside, especially in a beautiful place like the Gold Coast, and you get the beach, you hear the birds, like people are doing like fun shit, you're like, wow, this life is actually gorgeous, you know, but we get caught in these echo chambers. And I want to, obviously you built like a super successful kind of business. You got an awesome community making massive impact.
Yeah.
I want your opinion on what you think like the overlaps or similarities or differences between, you know, maintaining a healthy lifestyle through fitness and your eating, and also maintaining a healthy business.
Yeah, this is one where I went wrong very quickly. And like you say, in terms of burnout, I think when you're passionate about something, it's really easy to go all in. And my biggest advice in terms of health and fitness is, again, sustainable goals. Okay, don't look at 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. Look at what you can achieve in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. So it's like finding that balance of what's going to actually be achievable enough to challenge you, but also what's not going to burn you into the ground. And unfortunately, I had to learn that the hard way when my business went full-time in September last year. And before that though, I worked full-time for F45 and I also worked full-time for myself and did social media as well. So I nearly had 3 full-time jobs. I ended up in hospital because I just lacked any form of boundary, any form of like self-awareness when it came to, and in my head, my ego was just like, oh, but we're just working hard. It's just the vision. And I was
hustle.
like, you got it right. And that's the thing. Another thing with social media, it's the hustle culture. And whilst I love that, because I'm also like, stop with your fucking excuses and get off your ass and do something. At the same time, when it's your own personal health, and at the end of the day, as you know, your business is just an extension of you. The clientele that, you know, the money that you make, the clientele that you attract, the type of business that you do, the way that it performs, etc. That's all on you. And if you're not, in terms of your health and fitness and life, going well, neither is your business. At all.
That's super valuable as well. And that's a point that I overlooked for ages. Like, I had so many limiting beliefs around money and things like that, both on the positive and the negative spectrum. Like, I made a lot of money for my age, super young. And then because in a really quick amount of time in crypto, and because I didn't have to work for it, I then disregarded money and didn't respect it for years and years and years. And then I'm only just getting onto like a positive wavelength with money, in a sense like, okay, universe, I'm ready to like receive, you know, I'm ready to put in the work and do what it takes. I respect money. Like, I wouldn't return an item that costs $90 because it's just $90.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like telling the universe every time I do something stupid like that, like, he doesn't actually need money.
No.
So whenever,
it's like almost an ungrateful thing. Not that you meant to be, but it's like, I'm ungrateful for this. Yeah.
Literally. And like, one of the things I saw that show up in my life, and this is happening for probably a solid 18 months before I really took stock of my own beliefs, was like, I would always lowball whenever I went into like a client call or something like that, like just because I would go and be like, yep, my service is XYZ this much, and then be like, oh, actually I could do it for this if you want, like, oh, if that's okay, because I got into this negative spiral with money. And I found like that to be so demoralizing. And then eventually, once I just kind of put my foot in the sand, it was like, okay, I'm going to be me and do me, and then if things like circulate in towards me, awesome. If they don't, they weren't for me.
Yeah.
You know, what's your kind of relationship with money now and how it has been in the past?
Oh my God, like there's so many points the whole time you were talking. I was like, I feel this with every ounce of my being. So I was on the opposite like spectrum. However, I don't want you to say that you didn't work for the crypto. You did, because not a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon originally. So while you didn't hustle 1 million hours a week, you still earn the money. And you still put yourself out there to do it. So don't disempower yourself like that. But I think I came from, again, as I said, I'm the eldest of a lot of kids, and my mum and dad split up when I was really young. So my dad left when I was really young, and we pretty much lived week to week to week for as long as I can remember. Yeah. And so for me, money was always coming from a lack of abundance. It was uncomfortable. You don't talk about money. You don't speak about money. You don't ask how anyone like earns. So like, and even saying that, I almost still can like reminisce on the feeling that I used to get, that gut feeling of like, it's an uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah.
The thing is, and again, I understand that when you're going in and when you're like, don't know what to charge and don't know how to charge your value, what I actually have learned doing a lot of self-development is like, you're actually disempowering your potential clients and your potential buyers by not charging your worth.
Yeah.
You're literally, and a reflection of you is saying, oh, well, you actually can't afford that. So like, it's $40 or $80 or whatever you were charging. Yeah. And when I learned that, I was like, oh my God, because you knew, I feel like in terms of intuition, you kind of know what you want to charge, you know but you're like, oh, I don't know how know how to stand my ground. People get uncomfortable. But part of that is you're attracting clients that are uncomfortable with money as well, or that don't value money as well. And that's what I meant in terms of your business being an extension of you. So my money mindset used to be shocking, and to the point where like I could have like holes in socks and need to buy undies, and I'd be like, I just don't do it, because I didn't think I was worth spending money on. Like there's so many other things that I could do or save. So like I tried to keep money and hold on to money. But what I've learned, and in terms of flow, is money is just energy, like you say. And by you saying I don't need this, you're also deflecting the energy rather than being like, I need the abundance. I would love the abundance. And what I could do with this is create more podcasts, make my business larger, impact more people. So it took a lot of work. It took a lot of conversation, and I wouldn't even say that I'm there yet.
Yeah.
I don't think I am, but I'm a lot better at charging my worth and also opening the conversation with other people, because once I kind of learnt to talk about money in a comfortable way, the people that I met enjoyed talking about money. So we talk about money, and I made this and I made that, and I was like, this is no longer an uncomfortable conversation. And what happened? I made a whole lot more fucking money. And it's like, what? Yeah. But it is just, it comes and it goes, and you have to allow that, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. You can't look at spending money as a risk, because at the end of the day, like even if it only provides a motivation for you, like say for instance, you invest in a $5,000 course and it's one coaching call a week for 12 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That $5,000, if all that serves for you is a motivator, for once a week you're going to devote an hour of your life to yourself and your self-improvement, then that is $5,000 well spent.
Absolutely. It's invaluable. To me, it's worth more than $5,000.
Yeah.
And that's what I love to say to people. I'm like, what's the price you put on the highest version of yourself? How much money are you going to put into that? What is that person worth? And a lot of people will be like, fuck, a lot more than $5,000, right?
Literally.
So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And that's a forever moving target as well, because once you reach, your best version of yourself, then you realize there's another level.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? With every level comes more demons, more ego, more challenges. And that's like the fun part, the game we get to play. And I have learned that because and my coach put it in a really fabulous way. She said to me, it's the ability. So we're ready, whether we use that 5K as an example, you invest that 5K. Your ability then to grow in that space of 12 weeks, whatever it was, your actual capability to hold more room, hold more energy, hold more space is larger, because you as a person have grown. So your capability to have better conversation, more conscious conversation, better relationships, hold more money is larger. So therefore, to stretch again, you wouldn't be able to invest another 5K and be stretched the same. You'd have to invest 10, 12, 20, 80, like, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an incredible thing.
I know, it's brilliant. And I love like that we're on a similar wavelength with that. So I also want to ask, obviously building out a community is quite a daunting task, right? You know, you're putting yourself, you know, out in the spotlight to be judged, but also mostly to help. And when you're giving like your opinion and advice and things like that, there are going to be people that kick back against that. So was there anything you had to overcome to like fully step into being a community leader within like your business?
I feel like, yeah, the thing is people are always going to have something to say. That's what I've learned. And one of the biggest pieces of advice I think I was ever given was that never take the advice or opinion from someone you wouldn't trade lives with. And anytime, and I still to this day will get DMs from people, some rude things and whatever. And that does make me feel not upset. I would just say like, I get uncomfortable because I'm like, that's not the point of my mission. However, you can't expect everyone to like you. So I kind of come from that perspective and go, you can't expect everyone to like you because you don't like everyone. And then coming from that, right? Like I'm like, I don't like everyone, so not everyone's going to like me. And then also coming a perspective of like, is that person doing what I'm doing? Am I doing anything wrong? Because I'm not giving, you know, the wrong advice. I'm not putting anyone in jeopardy. Then no. So it's just learning. And I think you actually need to kind of have that happen a couple of times in order to go, it's okay, I'll be all right. And also learning like, you're not going to die. Yeah. Like that's my biggest thing. I'm like, did you die, Chloe? No. Well, you're fine then. Like people still say shit. Oh, well, just block and delete. It's my easiest thing anyway.
Literally. Lifted heart rate from time to time is good for you anyway.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Extra cardio.
Literally. One thing that I love that you said, you wouldn't take advice from anyone you wouldn't swap places with. And this even boils down to like, you know, advice from parents and family members and things like that. Like a lot of the time it comes with good intentions or like worry because, you know, you're stepping out of the norm. Like, you know, a lot of family members who love you just want you to get a stable job, you know, be comfortable, don't stretch your neck out too far. Yeah. You know, and they can be the hardest pieces of criticism to take, really. So what's your relationship like with your family? I know you mentioned your mum's your hype queen. Yeah. And how's like the rest of your family dynamic impacted you?
Oh, crazy. And when you said that, it was the time when I wanted to start my business and love my family, but everyone is, you go to uni, you play it safe, you get a job, your super's done, your tax is done. And as you know, as a business owner, that shit just goes over my head. That's what you pay an accountant for and whatever, right?
Literally, but please do it for me.
Oh my God, literally, I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, so when I originally was going to go self-employed, I was like, I'm ready to do it. It was one of the scariest things I've ever done. And every single person that I cared about in my life, again, like you said, it came from the intention of we're worried about you, we want you to be safe, but I let that get to me. And so I've had to kind of overcome the noise. And I call it noise because it's like, again, you get to decide what you let in. You get to decide what you take on. And it's not in an egotistical way because I respect anyone in my family's advice or opinion, but at the same time, you know you. Yeah. So my opinion with my mum, love her to death. She is like I said, my biggest hype queen. I've got siblings ranging from, I'm 22 and my youngest sister is 8. So a lot of siblings. So I've got a stepdad, a dad, and then a stepmom, crazy. We've got family coming everywhere. My relationship with my dad was really, really shocking for a lot of my life, and a lot of things due to what he did when we were younger before he left. And it's so funny when you grow as an adult, you actually realize that your parents are just people too. Yeah. You know, and
they're
it's
still
like
figuring shit out.
Yeah. And I think that is one of the most humbling things that you can understand, but really understand. Yeah. Like, because I used to be so angry and hold a lot of blame and resentment and, you know, demonize him. And not to say that he potentially didn't deserve some of that, but at the same time, it's like, people are just people, you know? And so that was quite rocky for me. However, I think the way that my childhood panned out, I wouldn't be who I am today without that. So despite the fact that, you know, those relationships are still a bit funny and, you know, you can't choose your family, so you get what you get. But I also don't believe I would be the person I am, and it probably wouldn't have worked as hard as I have if I hadn't had those things happen. So
yeah, and that's always the case. Hey, you know, like the vast majority of like billionaires, when you look statistically today, are self-made because they've had to do things from a young age that were super uncomfortable. And, you know, even if it's, you know, you've got something to prove or wherever that kind of comes from, you know, there's a fire in your belly, and business is the perfect avenue to kind of get all that aggression and rage out.
Absolutely. And because you can see it, it's measurable. You can see I had this and now I've got this, and you can see the growth, and you get absolutely. And funny enough, a lot of people I do know that have businesses, it all came from a lack of self-worth.
Yeah.
I need to prove myself. If I do this and I show them, and now everyone's like, oh, it doesn't actually fix any of that, does it?
Yeah.
It just creates a larger problem.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well. Okay, how come I've got all this money and
and I'm still unhappy.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Money solves money problems.
It does.
You know, Tom Bilyeu says that a lot. I love his podcast so much. And it's true because I forget the statistic, but there are still billionaires out there that kill themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
All the time.
You know, billionaires, millionaires, people that, you know, are unhappy, take to alcohol, take to drugs. And from the outside, at least, they look like they've got it all, you know?
Absolutely.
But I want to know like a failure that has really turned out to be a success for you. Something that you overlooked or, you know, you really regretted at the time, whether it was a missed opportunity or something that's really allowed you to get to where you are today.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of people do like to say that I'm friends with failure because I really appreciate failure. I think it's one of those things that the more that you get comfortable, as we say, being uncomfy, okay, the easier it is to fail and learn and grow. And so there's a few things that I can think of. The first one would probably be like relationships in general, things that I probably said or did that probably weren't right, probably weren't correct, and things that I probably shot myself in the foot with because I had unresolved issues with my dad, you know, quote unquote daddy issues and whatever, things that I probably, you know, may have lasted. But at the end of the day, I think looking back on any failure, and I'm sure you're the same, you're like, but it's gotten me to where I am. The other thing would probably be, I think not trying to reach out to my dad earlier is something that I feel like I failed at a little bit because he's not one, I knew he was never going to step up to the part. I knew that, and because I know the type of person that he is, and we're both very, very stubborn, is where I get it from. And so that, because it's come to somewhat of a mutual agreement now, I suppose. And then the other thing was in terms of money is that when I came back from America during COVID, I was on holiday and, you know, COVID, everyone's like, oh my God, got to come back. I was like, oh, I need to make money. I don't know what to do. I accidentally made $10,000 in a day. And I shot myself in the foot with that because I had no systems. I didn't know what I was doing, who I was helping, whatever. And it was the first thing I'd ever like, quote unquote, sold on social media. And everyone was like, I want it. And I just think if I had known and I would waited a little bit longer or known,
build the foundation.
Yeah, right. And it wouldn't have taken me that much, but I definitely probably didn't do my correct job there. And probably people in that probably may never buy from me again because I probably didn't do the best job I could have. And but so funny, what I took from that was like, holy shit, I made $10,000 in a day. And someone that came from, concept. Right? Yeah. And so what, like, you know, in a place that I come from, talking about lack of abundance and a fear of money, that was something that's like freaked the shit out of me because I'm like, I had $0 and now I've got 10K and it's a Monday, you know, like, oh my God. So yeah, probably those three things are the things that I think come to the top of my head when you say that. And there's probably many more.
Yeah. And how do you think you changed the way you operated from that day moving forward?
Self-reflection.
Yeah.
It's like, despite the fact that it didn't go wrong and there was a lot of things, you can always learn. Yeah. Like I said, every new level has a new demon. Like, the quicker that you learn from your failures, the more things come your way and the more opportunities come. Because if I hadn't learnt that, I probably wouldn't have invested in a business coach. And that's actually what I did with the $10,000 that I made. It was the first full investment I ever made in myself. Had no idea what I was doing and went, you know what? If I'm going to do anything right. And with that, I actually still work with him now, which is crazy. And this is like 3 years later or whatever. And he's seen me grow from like a literal 18-year-old girl or whatever to me now, who's, you know, built multiple businesses out of it, which is crazy. And so, you know, with every little thing that happens, you can sit in and go, woe is me, my life sucks, this is shit, I suck, and I'm never going to step outside of my comfort zone again. Or you're like, with the stretch comes a lot of learning. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned from that.
100%. Yeah. That's incredible. And do you think this coach that you're working with is going to be the one that's going to be able to take you to the next level as well?
I don't know, because I think with that, he is really good at, and again, he helps PTs build PT businesses. So I have my PT business, which is Health Hyped, as we said. And I, you know, really value myself in being a really high quality PT. But now that I have stepped more into the mindset sort of things, I have a personal development coach, and she has helped me really unlock a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of blocks, a lot of things that she's reflected that mirror back at me 1,000 times. I'm like, oh my God. And again, speaking about your business being an extension of you, you have to be in the top form, right? You have to be in good shape. You have to self-reflect. You have to admit when you're not being the best person in order to grow your business too.
Especially in the early stages, because you don't have necessarily like a stable team to lean on.
No.
You know, like you are the blood, sweat and tears of the business at all times.
Yeah.
And when you're having an off day, that ripples through the entire business. It ripples, especially a community-based business like yours, where you're like the idol of energy. You know, you're the beacon for them all.
Right.
In lots of ways as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to, you know, quote unquote, this is where the hustle culture comes in. You just got to suck it up a lot of the time.
Yeah.
as well.
I think it builds a lot of grit though. Anyone I know that's a business owner is a tough cookie. Like, because exactly right. Like I have literally got no one else to lean on.
Yeah.
And I always joke that it's like, well, it's this or I'll find another way, but it's this for now. Yeah. So, you know, you get in and get it done. And yeah, it's hard. And I think that's where learning to create energetic boundaries and things like that come in as you go. But again, that's what you learn. Because in the beginning, you are everything. The salesperson, the customer service person, the this, the that, you build it all. But it's an incredible experience.
And learning, I think, to laugh in the middle of a failure, I think is one of the best things. Like, even if I were to give up business and just go about life, I don't know, in the jungle or whatever, that'd probably be my plan B. I'd just go and be a native.
Yeah. I find that's so hard as well. Not many people, good vibes. I'm here for that.
Literally. Just hang out with like the orangutans and shit.
So good.
No matter what I did with the rest of my life, just having learnt that skill to laugh in the middle of failure has just saved me so many like heart tears, because it's just like, okay, that just happened. What the fuck? Okay, why did it happen?
Yeah.
How can I make sure it doesn't happen again? That was actually pretty hilarious. I'm a fucking idiot. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it makes it a positive spin. Because if you see the negative outlook and and whether you don't choose to take another opportunity or whatever, you're actually just shaming yourself. I'm a piece of shit. I can't do this. I'm wrong. Yeah. You're terrible, whatever, which a lot of us do. We're all our own worst critics, right? We all beat ourselves up. And especially when you're in business, nothing's ever right. And in your head, you're like, I could have a million more years on this or whatever. Yeah. But it's like, by having a positive spin and going, you know what? I'm going to be all right. Because like my favorite thing is like, you didn't die. Yeah. So you're fine. If you didn't die, you got more to do. Yeah, right? Literally. So get up, have fun with it, have a giggle, have a cry if you need to. And then what's the next thing that I can do? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Love that. We're going to reset the cameras, guys, and get straight into it.
On the flow.
Hey team, real quick reminder before we jump back in. If you're enjoying yourself and you're getting value from this episode, there's no need to keep all this goodness to yourself. Share the growth with your audience and leave behind 5 stars. Much love, guys, and back to the episode.
Let's go.
All right, we're back. One problem that I faced early in business, still kind of to this day I'm dealing with, is saying yes to everything.
Oh, God.
And as someone who is ambitious, and I feel like you might have dealt with this before, you kind of just want to take on every opportunity because you never know where it's going to lead. How have you framed yourself, if you have, to really focus in on like your core business and your whatever it is you're building at the moment? It's
so hard, right? Yeah. I agree with that, because it's like when you see all these opportunities pop up, you're like, wow, I want to do this, I want to do that, and whatever. And I read something the other day that was like, realistically, like you can't just have 10 things and give 1/10 of every single of energy into 10 things and then say that it's going to give you 100%. And I actually, having a business coach, one day he literally said to me, Chloe, you need to choose 2 things, put a finger in each pie and go with that. Because and to be honest, I think failure taught me that. Failure taught me, okay, if you stick to one thing and do it properly and do it right, there's much better chance of it going correctly and well. And then again, you learn through that. So it's one of those things that it can be quite hard. And again, setting boundaries in my life with that help too, having the rules, but also I'm like a task-oriented woman, and us joking when we organize this podcast about Google calendars and checklists, like I am like such a queen with all that. I'm like, it needs to be color-coded, but like blocking out tasks for myself even. Like Monday is this day and I have to get this done. Tuesday is this day, I have to get this done, because and you know, making sure that like, okay, I'm only going to take on, whether I've worked in the social media world, so whether it's like X amount of sponsorships or whatever, it's actually looking at where the line is for you and that drawing that and being integral to that and choosing not to overstep. That's the hard part.
Is there any circumstance where you are lenient with your boundaries?
I'm going to say it's working on the weekend and only because my partner is obsessed with his job too. So sometimes if we get up on a Saturday and go usual coffee, this and that, and we're like, oh, do you want to do a bit of work? We're like, yeah, okay. But it comes from a place of absolute passion. However, I really had to set clear boundaries. And again, it came from messing up. I ended up in hospital from overworking too much in a couple of years ago, purely because I didn't set those boundaries. So I think I'm one of those people that kind of needs to be like knocked over the head real hard in order to learn. But yeah, probably just spilling over the edge and working on the weekend.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. I find that a little bit difficult too, because I've never had a job like working for someone else, so I don't know like Monday to Friday. I'm like, there's just 7 days. And there's 24 hours. What can I do with them? Yeah, literally, there's 24 hours, there's 7 days. I'll dot some like little like, I don't know what you'd call it, pleasure activities or leisure activities in between them. But I feel like when you genuinely really love what you do and you find like interest in what it is that you're creating, don't get me wrong, there is a whole lot of stuff where your just eyes are hanging out of your head staring at a computer. But for the most part, it just takes a split second to imagine the vision and then you're back there again.
It's so good.
You know?
And I agree. I've never had a proper 9 to 5, whatever. Yeah. I worked in Boost for a little while in a cafe. That's the only kind of proper job that I quote unquote ever had. And same thing. I'm like, it's because you love it so much that it sets your soul on fire. So you don't, and that's the thing about people always asking about motivation. And in terms of whether it's in health and fitness or in career, it's like, how do you stay motivated? It's like, I actually don't need to. Because I fucking love it so much that I just want to go and do all the things. And I want to run here, do this. However, as you know, from a business standpoint, sometimes that's not the best way to go about them. Because like if your eyes are hanging out of your head and you've had one too many cups of coffee, sometimes the best work isn't done. But again, you live and you learn, right?
100%. Now, before the money is, my whole ethos with this podcast is giving you like the tools to feed your mind, body and soul with everything you need to design a life on your terms. Yeah. So I want to know, what does Chloe's life on her terms look like? Big vision, big grandiose. Where is all this hard work taking you to?
Oh my God, I love this. Again, it brings back to my mom. So my mom, the first time she ever owned a house was actually with my stepdad. When I was like 11, so a couple years ago, right? And she ended up pretty much raising all of her younger siblings. She never had a lot of abundance. From the age of 12, she was pretty much an adult. Yeah. And so in the weirdest way, my vision and empowering women actually came from wanting to help all, my mom's name is Stacey, help all the little Staceys. So my goal, and anyone that's known me pretty much from like the age of like 17, 18, the goal's always been to buy my mom a house. So she can have the house, she can live in that house, she can be free. But financial abundance, and not in the way that I originally chased it. Financial abundance to me is being able to wake up and go to the beach and drink my stupid $6 coffee and, you know, and feel...
It'll be $8 by that point.
Oh my God, gotta be 25. Oh my God. Yeah, petrol's $8 a litre. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but, you know, and being able to feel like Chloe, right? Being able to be happy and be free and, you know, do what I want to do, which for a lot of people, unfortunately, seems really far out of reach. Yeah. And being able to move my body in the way that feels good to me, eat the way that I want to, and you know, and potentially just going to places because I love to see places in the way that I want. But it's so funny because, and especially, I don't know if you ever went through this, but originally, and I always think about that 10K day, right? And it was always like, what am I going to buy? What, you know, in terms of materialistic items. Yeah. And it's like, you just learn it's not actually about any of that, is it?
I feel like that comes with also just getting older as well.
Maturing 100%.
You know, and like I was definitely like that. And still to this day, you know, I've got a Porsche 911 GT2 on my vision board.
Beautiful.
Like absolute gorgeous. But at the end of the day, like I know intrinsically through the experience, like even when I do make lots of money, I don't go out and buy shit anyway. No. So I don't know why that I've got that stuff on my vision board motivating me. It still fires me up.
But me too. Because I love shiny things. My partner laughs at me. I love shiny things. I like nice cars. I like nice bags. I like
see your outfit.
Yes,
you know?
all the things, right? But that's what makes me feel like me. Yeah. But like you say, it's not, because you know that it's not what actually motivates you. Doesn't mean you can't have those things. And in this, I suppose in the society that we live in, that's what success is, right? It's you drive a nice car, you have a nice house, what you wear is impeccable, whatever. And whilst that's not always true, you can't help but fall into it a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm always, I self-reflect on this a lot because I try and tell myself that I like those things because I like those things. But then I'm like, how much of that is me? Or how much of that is the programming? Like, would I like Porsches if we were still living in the jungle? Like, that's not a human, like, that's not a native human trait.
No.
To love supercars. So, like, obviously there's some programming that's gone in there, but like, what would your wardrobe look like? Because I know you love clothes. Like,
fabulous.
Let's go a little bit vain here for a second.
So vain. Yeah. And it's one of those things that funny on a deeper level is something that I used to shame myself for. Yeah. I posted on Instagram a couple of times some photos. If you see me, like when I'm 3, I have full matching kitted outfit, pink, sparkles, feathers, like literally from a little girl. That's who I've been. And I grew up thinking, because we didn't come from a lot of money, that it was really selfish and vain and materialistic to like those things. For a long time, I actually shamed myself for liking those things. So now that I have the money to do that, I almost like am really resistant to buying them. But if I had the wardrobe, I would have to have all sparkles. I've got sparkles on my wrist. I've got sparkly Chanel sunglasses. It'd be so many pairs of knee-high boots. Like Prada is actually my favorite handbag brand. So it'd be all the Prada handbags in all the colors. It would be so much jewelry. Everything is color-coded, and I love pantsuits. So that'd probably be it.
Wicked.
Yeah.
All right. And would you have like a summer wardrobe, winter wardrobe, like the Kardashians, how they swap them out?
Oh my God, I need a walk-in wardrobe. Absolutely. Walk-in all the way. And yes, it would be by the seasons for sure. Because it's either like when you see me, I'm either OTT like I am now, or I'm in activewear, and there's no in between. Yeah. Like that's just what you get. Absolutely. I love it. but it makes me happy. So
yeah, wicked. I love how you took us back to like your younger self.
Yeah.
Because I've always been into, fashion, hence why I own like a clothing brand now. And, maybe it's just something that's just within us. Like I think fashion is just a form of self-expression, the way that we wear a smile on our face. We just now have more technology to do that.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I funny enough used to get like a lot of people would, be like, oh, Chloe again, she's always overdressed, whatever. But it's the way that makes me, and I think of it like an energy, but it's putting me into the energy that makes me feel the best. If I don't feel good in my outfit, my energy is completely different, and anyone can sense that. And I had an ex-boyfriend that actually once said to me, like, he was like, oh no, I love that you dress like that because dressing well is good manners. And I actually really appreciate that as well. It's a form of self-respect.
Yeah, 100%.
Putting yourself together, looking nice is like, hey, this is how I respect myself, and therefore this is how I show up.
Yeah. And when you look at, say, like billionaires like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, all that kind of stuff, and they wear the exact same thing. Mark Zuckerberg's another one.
Oh my God, Hormozy with his like
literally
wife beaters.
Yeah, they wear the same thing all the time. I don't know if I understand the ideology. They don't want to use up too much decision-making time. But for me personally, I'm just like, nah, I would be dripping.
Oh, me too.
All the time.
I would too. But then on another note, my partner makes a lot more money than I do, and he's very successful. He's not really into all of that. So I don't know, like you say, bring it back to, is that just a part of who we are? Yeah. And maybe that's just a part of who they are too. Like they don't value that. Yeah. So that, whereas like I value that and I love those things, right? But yeah, I don't know. It is, yeah. And I agree. I'm not a fan of the wife beater. I'm not a fan of the same friggin' jeans every day. Like, no. Yeah. But is what it is.
But when you imagine the wardrobe though, it'd be very uniform, like 12 pairs of the same pants.
You hope it's 12 and not 3.
Literally. Maybe they just don't sweat. Who knows? All right, so I reckon because we've powered through this one, thank you so much for the value.
Of course.
Honestly, this has been wicked.
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you one last question.
Yeah.
But before I do that, can you please tell our lovely audience where they can find you?
Absolutely. If you go to @Chloe Bromage on social media, on Instagram is probably the best way to find me. Feel free. My website link is in there. All my coaching details are in there. So come say hey. Come give us a follow.
Amazing. So I'm going to ask you 2 more questions actually because another one just came to me. So what is something that a habit or a belief, something that's a little bit unusual that you do and makes you really happy?
Oh my God, I have never even thought about this. Before I do any of my coaching calls, I listen to a song and I don't know if that's weird.
Is there a specific song?
No, it depending on any of the courses that I've created or the client that I'm talking to, I usually associate a specific song with the type of energy that I want to bring to that call. Okay. So that's something that I try and do. Like if I ever
your anchor.
Yeah, it is a bit of an anchor. So it brings me down. I feel like that's probably the only weird thing that I do. I mean, I do many weird things, but there's something that's kind of unusual. Yeah, anchoring myself is massive. And even just, I don't know. It even take me a while to think about it.
Maybe you have to write a letter back.
Yeah, I will. I'm like, I can't think now. It'll pop into me in 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's what I do. Yeah. But probably that is probably the weirdest thing that I can think of now. Yeah. Or I suppose like my outfits, depending on my mood, is another thing. And a lot of people do that. They just get up and get dressed. Where I'm like, what mood are we in today? What jewelry we need to have on, and how's the hair going and whatever.
Do you ever have all black days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all black.
Love an all
black
outfit.
It's a boss bitch. It's a boss bitch moment. Absolutely.
100. I've got like this big long like distressed Sex Pistols trench, and like when I put that on,
fucking
I
amazing.
mean business.
I love that. Yeah, it's full like Matrix vibes.
Yeah,
but like 100%. On steroids. Yeah, love it. I love it.
Whenever I go to Sydney, it's like that baby's coming with me.
Love that. You need like glasses, slick hair, all of that. I'm here for it.
100%. All right. And if you were to have dinner with someone dead or alive, who would that be, and what would you want to learn from them?
I feel like this is the question where everyone's like, who do you look up to and who do you admire? It's going to sound like really silly, but it would either be the highest version of myself who like fucking did it all, or it would be my grandma. She passed away when I was 8 and I never got to know her, but I had this really weird connection, intuitive vibe with her that every time, like, it's just really odd, and I always feel a presence. I always feel, I don't know how you want to explain it, whatever, whether you think it's crazy or not, but it'd probably be her or the highest version of myself, only because it's like, you, yeah, and like whoever I've ever looked up to, I usually look up to traits of them. I love how they executed this. I love how they did this, but I've
cherry pick,
right? Yeah. So I feel like or if I could mish all my favorite people together in one, but yeah, probably that.
That'd be a weird looking creature.
Yeah, yeah,
so
that.
What would your highest version of yourself teach you?
I think for me, the biggest block that I ever, and it's come at every level so far, is just the limiting belief. It's that like you actually can do it. And any time that I've ever been stuck in terms of decisions, like I don't know, we talked about inner children and inner child before, but one way that I really love to connect to that is looking at old photos of myself. It's like,
look how far I've come.
Yeah, because I, for a long time, and I know a lot of people can resonate, is like I felt really alone in everything that I did for such a long time. And it's not that I didn't have support, it's just I felt misunderstood, and as you do as a teenager and whatever, right? Like nobody gets me, whatever. But I feel like, being able to look at that and be like, we fucking did it, would just be like the most overwhelming, amazing feeling ever. And it's probably not the answer that you wanted, but yeah.
Hey, there's no right answer. How cool would it be like a Last Supper with all the versions of you?
Oh my God, yeah, wow. Like
There's just be everyone talking over each other.
Literally me. Can she shut up? Everyone are trying to out-fabulous each other. No, my bag's better. No, my bag's better.
I love that, Chloe. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Peace, guys. We'll see you next week.
Woo!
Wicked.
That was epic.
And that is another one in the bag. Thank you so much for hanging around all the way to the end of the episode. Our sponsors also want to thank you too. ANARCHY Label, the producers of this show, have teed up a exclusive discount code for you. You'll find it in the show notes below for all you wonderful people who've chosen to stay all the way to the end. If you enjoyed being a part of the conversation today, don't keep this to yourself. Share this episode to your channel of choice, send it to a friend who you know is going to get value, and most importantly, for all you diehard fans that want to see this show blow up and impact more lives, hit the donate link in the show notes below. I hope today's episode sparked a little idea inside your head. Maybe you go off and change your life or do something crazy like that. I don't know. But I want to thank you guys for hanging around. This has been a wicked episode. My name is Jack William. You'll find all my links below. And I will see you guys bouncing with energy with another hot topic next Tuesday. Peace and love.